Good evening. You're watching Mirror now. As India mourns the loss of 40 CRPF jawans who lost their lives in the attack yesterday, their bodies now draped in the tricolour in New Delhi, as the Prime Minister earlier today just paid his respects. Visuals coming to us live at this point from New Delhi, but earlier the Prime Minister Modi chaired a cabinet meeting on security and met and reviewed to strategize the response to the Pulwama attack. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley, Home Minister Rajnath Singh, External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj and Defence Minister Nirmala Sitharaman also attended the meeting. The agenda for the meeting, it is understood, was to seek a unanimous view of India's future course of action. An all-party meeting has also been called by the NDA government to discuss India's course of response to the terror attack on the CRPF convoy in Pulwama. The Prime Minister, who later launched India's first semi-high-speed train, Vande Bharat Express, which will run between Delhi and Varanasi, said at the public address that this supreme sacrifice of our jawans will be avenged. Prime Minister Modi has also said that Pakistan and the terrorists who perpetrated the attack will pay a heavy price for this attack.
हमारे वीर जवानों ने देश की रक्षा में अपने प्राणों की आहुति दी है। उनका बलिदान व्यर्थ नहीं जाएगा। ये भरोसा झांसी की धरती से, वीरों और वीरांगनाओं की धरती से मैं 130 करोड़ हिंदुस्तान वासियों को देना चाहता हूं।
Well, the Union Home Minister, Mr. Rajnath Singh, who was seen helping carry a coffin of a slain CRPF jawan after he laid the wreath at the mortal remains of the troops, has said that our nation will not forget the supreme sacrifice of our brave CRPF jawans and that their sacrifice will not go in vain.
हमारे सीआरपीएफ के जो जवान शहीद हुए हैं, आज उन शहीदों को मैंने भी श्रद्धांजलि दी है और महामहिम राज्यपाल महोदय ने भी श्रद्धांजलि दी है और हमारे दिल्ली से होम सेक्रेटरी, बहुत सारे अफसर्स आए हैं और जम्मू कश्मीर के सब सारे अधिकारी थे। सभी लोगों ने आज शहादत दी है, उनको श्रद्धांजलि दी है और साथ ही साथ उनकी शहादत के प्रति सम्मान भी व्यक्त किया है। और मैं यह मानता हूं कि उनकी शहादत को केवल हम ही लोगों ने सैल्यूट नहीं किया है, बल्कि सारा भारत ऐसे बहादुर जवानों की शहादत को सैल्यूट किया है पूरे भारत ने। और मैं यकीन दिलाना चाहता हूं कि भारत सरकार और साथ ही साथ जम्मू कश्मीर की सरकार भी यह पूरी तरह से शहीद जवानों के परिवारों के साथ खड़ी है। और सभी राज्य सरकारों से भी मैंने यह अनुरोध किया है कि जो भी शहीद परिवारों की अधिकतम वह मदद कर सकते हों, वह परिवारों की अधिकतम मदद करें। और श्रद्धांजलि देने के बाद आज अधिकारियों के साथ भी एक हमारी बैठक हुई है, जिसमें आज राज्यपाल महोदय थे, होम सेक्रेटरी थे, चीफ सेक्रेटरी जम्मू कश्मीर, डीजीपी जम्मू कश्मीर और आर्मी कमांडर और डीजी सीआरपीएफ और कुछ सीनियर अफसर्स उसमें मौजूद थे। जो भी आवश्यक निर्देश देने चाहिए वो आवश्यक निर्देश सारे अधिकारियों को दिया है। और मैं बता देना चाहता हूं कि हमारे सुरक्षा के बलों का हौसला पूरी तरह से बुलंद है और आतंकवाद के खिलाफ हम जो निर्णायक लड़ाई लड़ रहे हैं उसमें हमें कामयाबी मिलेगी। और इस हमारी निर्णायक लड़ाई के साथ पूरा देश पूरी ताकत के साथ, पूरी मजबूती के साथ खड़ा है। और जम्मू कश्मीर की आवाम को भी मैं अपनी तरफ से यकीन दिलाना चाहता हूं कि सीमा पार से आतंक फैलाने वाली जो ताकतें हैं, उनके मंसूबों को हम किसी भी सूरत में कामयाब नहीं होने देंगे। मुझे इस बात की खुशी है कि जम्मू का कश्मीर की जनता आतंकवाद के खिलाफ इस लड़ाई में पूरी तरह से हमारे साथ है। कुछ ऐसे एलिमेंट्स हैं जो सीमा पार की जो आतंकवादी ताकतें हैं, आतंकवादी संगठन हैं अथवा आईएसआई, इनके साथ उनकी मिलीभगत है और आतंकवाद की गहरी साजिश में ऐसे सारे लोग भी कुछ शामिल हैं। और मैं कहना चाहता हूं, ऐसे लोग जम्मू कश्मीर की जनता के भविष्य के साथ वो खिलवाड़ तो कर ही रहे हैं और खास तौर से हमारे जम्मू कश्मीर के नौजवानों के भविष्य के साथ भी वो खिलवाड़ कर रहे हैं।
But that was the Home Minister, Mr. Rajnath Singh, making a statement to the press about the action that will be taken. He also went on to apologize to the local people of Kashmir for the inconvenience that they will have to put up with over the next few days as security is tightened even further. But I want to cut across to my colleague Pradeep, who joins us right now from Jammu. Pradeep, good evening and thank you for joining us. Jammu did have a fair amount of unrest through the day today that we understand now has been brought under control. Could you tell us what happened, please?
In fact, there are certain miscreants who are trying to take advantage of the situation and they are trying to disrupt the communal harmony in the region, and that is one of the reasons that today some of the protesters, they came out and moved towards certain areas and they also torched certain vehicles and damaged some of them. And after that, curfew was imposed, and right now the curfew is imposed in Jammu district, and army is also doing a flag march to ensure that no untoward incident takes place. Already administration had been telling, administration as well as the senior police officers are telling people to maintain calm and communal harmony because they want people not to fall into any kind of a trap. Already internet connection has been snapped. Reason being that whenever such incidents take place, normally some people try to spread fake news or somebody try to unleash propaganda and use social networking site to carry forward their fake and false propaganda. And in order to prevent that thing from happening, the internet connection has already been snapped in Kashmir Valley as well as in Jammu region. Besides this, they are also getting involved in dialogue process with different communities, telling the people to also use their good offices to prevent people from coming out on street and just trying to create a kind of a tamasha on the road that leads to, in fact, communal disharmony in the region. They want that there should be calm, and already there has been a dastardly terror attack. They do not want any international forces to use this occasion to whip up sentiments and emotions in different parts of the state so that there can be, in fact, a backlash, and the brotherhood that exists in this region can, and the composite culture can be snapped. So that is, these are the measures being taken right now. The curfew has been imposed. But all I can say is that many people here of their own, they had tweeting each other. They are, in fact, sending SMSs asking people to maintain communal harmony. In fact, of their own, they are taking certain measures. We saw that few hours back, the people from the different community, they came up and they had a press conference at Jammu Chamber's office. And they also had been appealing people not to come out on street. And if you have to protest, you should protest peacefully because that is their right to protest against the terror-related activity that has taken place. But they should not get involved in any kind of violence-related incident because what actually has been the strength of India and Jammu and Kashmir is the coexistence of different faiths. Despite terror attacks during the last 3 decades, it has been ensured that nobody is able to tear off the composite culture and pluralistic character of this region. So right now, in fact, both administration, police as well as civil society is working in this direction. Curfew is being imposed and situation right now seems to be normal. But yes, after this yesterday attack, we saw that people came out on the street. They started raising slogans against Pakistan, and they in fact had been demanding that some kind of a decisive action need to be initiated because they are the one who had been facing the brunt of Pak terrorism for the last 3 decades. They said how long such incidents will continue because one can very well see this was the heart-wrenching visuals coming out, and then we saw the family members also appealing to the government of India. This is the high time that decisive as well as punitive action need to be taken. And that was the reason that the people were agitated and upset. It is each and every Indian is right now upset and feeling that pain. But what is really very important is that despite being grief-stricken, feeling that pain, they are resolute, the family members. That is more important in even at this juncture. And what is important about the country India is that it is only happens in India, because whatever we may be having differences with each other, but we are standing together for our soldiers at this moment.
Yes, absolutely. Many thanks, Pradeep Datta, for bringing us that update from Jammu. Pradeep Datta live from Jammu, bringing us an update of a riot-like situation that was created in Jammu earlier today, as some members of the civil society did come out shouting slogans and burning vehicles, but that situation has been brought under control. Pradeep telling us that Jammu, there has been a curfew that's imposed in Jammu as well. Visual on your screen of the Prime Minister paying his respects. One of those 40 coffins belongs to Constable Bhagirathi Singh from Dholpur in Rajasthan, who survived by his wife and his 2 children. All that his family now asks for is that the perpetrators be brought to justice. Take a look.
अब सरकार कोई सुनवाई करती नहीं। 1 महीना की छुट्टी आया था हमारा बच्चा है, और 1 महीने की छुट्टी काट के अब 12 तारीख को गया है, तो गैल में ऐसा हादसा हुआ है इसके साथ में, और बच्चा है, एक बच्ची एक बच्चा है। इसमें कार्रवाई यही होनी चाहिए साहब, ऐसी घटना घट रही है, जो घटना सारी बंद होनी चाहिए। बच्चा रहेगा, और उसके बच्चा, उसकी कैसे अब क्या होगा, इसका कौन पालन पोषण करेगा? उसकी पत्नी है, उसमें एक बच्ची है, एक बच्चा है।
And from Rajasthan all the way to Kerala, Constable Vasanta Kumar is from Wayanad, or was from Wayanad, I beg your pardon, in Kerala, served in the CRPF for 18 years. He only had 1.5 years of service left. He survived now by his wife and 2 small children.
ഒരാഴ്ച ആയിട്ടുള്ളൂ. 10 ദിവസത്തെ ലീവിന് വന്നിട്ട് അങ്ങനെ പോയതാ. മക്കളെയും പിള്ളേരെ കണ്ടിട്ട് പോയെന്ന്. 18 വർഷം സർവീസ് കഴിഞ്ഞു. 1.5 വർഷം കൂടി ഉള്ളൂ എന്നാണ് പറയുന്നത്. 12 മണിക്ക് ശേഷം കിട്ടിയ ഒരു ബറ്റാലിയൻ ഉണ്ട് ഇവിടെ, തൃക്കപ്പറ്റ. മൂപ്പര് കോണ്ടാക്ട് ചെയ്ത് അവരെ കുടുംബക്കാർക്ക് അറിയിച്ച് അങ്ങനെ അറിഞ്ഞതേ ഉള്ളൂ.
ഇനി മറ്റു കാര്യങ്ങളൊന്നും
ഇതുവരെ ഇതുവരെ ആരും വന്നിട്ടുമില്ല, ഒന്നും ചെയ്തിട്ടുമില്ല. അച്ഛനിപ്പോൾ 1 വർഷമായിട്ടില്ല മരിച്ചിട്ട്. പിന്നെ അമ്മയും പിന്നെ മൂപ്പരെ വൈഫും 2 പിള്ളേരും മാത്രമേ ഉള്ളൂ. ചെറിയ പിള്ളേരുമാണ്.
Head Constable 13-year-old Babul Sandra was from the Howrah district of West Bengal, is survived by his wife and a daughter and an aging mother. He left home a month ago after coming home for leave.
बहुत कष्ट हो रहा है सुन के, सारा रात हम लोग जगे हुए हैं, और उसका दरवाजा पर बहुत आदमी खड़ा था, हम लोग भी सब गए थे, सब रो।
घर में कौन कौन है?
उसका मम्मी है और बहू है, उसका एक लड़की है, भाई है, भाई का बहू है। बहुत अच्छा लड़का था। 1.5 महीना हो गया गए। हम लोग को रोडे पर घर है, सामने में घर जाता आता है, हम लोग से मुलाकात होता था।
Constable Subramanian G was from Tuticorin. His father says that once they heard of the terror attack, they tried to reach Subramanian over the phone. Unfortunately, they couldn't talk to their son for one last time, as his number was switched off. Subramanian's father said that he visited the family just a few weeks ago for Pongal and then left for Kashmir on the 10th of February.
பையன் பேர் சுப்பிரமணியன். சிஆர்பி போலீஸ் சேர்ந்து 5 வருஷம் ஆச்சு. 5 வருஷம், 2 வருஷம் மெட்ராஸில் 1 வருஷம், உத்தரப்பிரதேசில் 2 வருஷம் ட்ரைனிங்கில் பார்த்தான். அதுக்கு அங்கிட்டு ஜம்முவில் போய், ஜம்முலேருந்து ஸ்ரீநகர் போய் 2 வருஷம், 1.5 வருஷம், 2 வருஷம் ஆகுது. இன்னும் 2 வருஷம் இருக்கணும்னு சொன்னான். அவன் நேற்று 4 மணிக்கு அவன் மனைவிட்டு ஃபோன் பண்ணியிருக்கான். 2:30 மணிக்கு ஃபோன் பண்ண பிறகு மறுபடியும் ஃபோன் பண்ணால் சுவிட்ச் ஆஃப்னே வருது. அது எங்களுக்கு ஒன்றும் தெரியல. அவன் ஃப்ரெண்டுக்கு தான் 2 பேர் இந்த மாதிரி அந்த ஆக்சிடெண்ட்டில் உங்கள் பையனும் அவங்க சேர்ந்துருப்பான் உங்களுக்கு அப்படின்னு எனக்கு ஃபோன் பண்ணாங்க. அதை வச்சு தான் நாங்கள் இது பண்ணோம். எங்கள் குடும்பம் அவனை வச்சு தான் நடக்குது. மேரேஜ் ஆகி 1.5 வருஷம் ஆகுது. ஆமாம். பொங்கல் தைப்பொங்கலுக்கு வந்தான். தைப்பொங்கல் மாதிரி இந்த 10ஆம் தேதி போகிறான். ஞாயிற்றுக்கிழமை 10ஆம் தேதி தான் போகிறான். ஆமாம்.
உங்களுக்கு அரசு தரப்புல தகவல் சொன்னாங்களா? எதுவும் தகவல் அரசு தரப்புல வந்து
இல்லை சொல்லலை.
சொல்ல உங்கள் ஃப்ரெண்டு சொன்னது தானே?
ஃப்ரெண்டு சொன்னது தான், அவங்க சொல்லலை. கவர்மெண்ட்லேருந்து யாரும் சொல்லலை.
Constable Shivachandran C. was from Karkudi village in Ariyuru district in Tamil Nadu. Shivachandran is survived by his wife, Gandhimati, and a 2-year-old son, Shivamunyan. Shivachandran's mourning wife is 4 months pregnant. He had visited home recently and left on the 9th of February to join the forces. Head Constable Ram Vakil was from Etawah in Uttar Pradesh. He leaves behind a wife and 3 children. He had just spent a week with them recently and his family says they asked him to please stay on, but he had to leave to join his battalion.
हम लोग अभी मत जाओ, जब रास्ता मिला गया तो कहे जा रहे टेलीफोन से संपर्क कर लो, कि नहीं बाबा जाएंगे पर हमें छुट्टी नहीं मिल पाएगी, हमें मकान बनवाना है, मार्च में छुट्टी आना है, अभी तो ठीक है आप जैसे मर्जी।
Constable Pankaj Kumar Tripathi was from Maharajganj in Uttar Pradesh, joined the CRPF in 2012. His younger brother said he always wanted to serve his country.
जी सर, पंकज भाई जो हमारे बड़े भाई थे वो बहुत ही अच्छे और नेक विचार के थे। हम लोग जो है साथ में लंगोटिया यार की तरह खेलते थे, घूमते थे, रहते थे। हमारे बड़े भाई थे, लेकिन हम लोगों को कभी ये महसूस नहीं होता था कि हमारे वो बड़े भाई हैं। हम लोग जो है दोस्त की तरह हमेशा साथ में रहते थे और बहुत अच्छे थे, खेलते थे, घूमते थे। उनका बहुत शुरू से ही सोच था कि हम फौज में जाएँ, और एक बार जो है उन SSB में हो गए थे, फिर उसमें जो उनको इंटरेस्ट नहीं मिला तो फिर उसको छोड़ दिए। वो छोड़ने के बाद फिर जो है CRPF में जो उनको जो ज्वाइनिंग किए, ज्वाइनिंग करने के 2012 में ज्वाइनिंग किया सर। और जो है वो उनकी ज़िंदगी बहुत हंस खेल के बीत रही थी ढंग से, और वो बहुत ही अच्छे आदमी थे, बहुत नेक आदमी थे सर।
Well, there are other stories of martyrs that we will bring to you as our reporters, and of course Ray and I have spoken with families, as each of these 40 men have left behind grieving families, wives, very, very young children and aging parents. But first, my colleague Fareed is back with us. Fareed, we understand, of course, that the Jammu and Kashmir police is making several detentions for questioning across the state, specifically in around Srinagar right now. Is this routine in an investigation like this?
Yes, Faye, it is a routine when you talk of any incident of violence and especially militancy. You have a case where people are picked up for questioning, and there is a mechanism as far as the police is concerned where they pinpoint people whom they feel are connected, or there are credible inputs with them that these people would be connected with this kind of an attack. Because as we were in fact elaborating the fact that this is not a handiwork of a single person, there would be a complete backup as far as such an incident is concerned. People who have helped in many ways as far as ensuring that the plan, first of all, the conspiracy is hatched, and then bringing it to the level where it was executed. There would be many people who would have helped, and it is that network, you call it the overground worker network of the militant outfits that the police would be after, because once they get them and question them, then they'll get crucial leads into the complete network of the Jaish-e-Mohammed. So these arrests would be in that connection, though let me tell you, after every such incident, these things are pretty, should I say, these things do happen, and the police, not only these 7, but I am sure in the coming days there will be many more people who will be picked up for questioning, and especially people who are from Pulwama, from South Kashmir, maybe Avantipura, Pulwama, or in the vicinity as far as this attack is concerned, because not only them, but we spoke to some eyewitnesses, some shopkeepers who were around. They said that even they were questioned by the police and by the CRPF about the incident, and that's the way these investigations happen as far as militancy is concerned. Every time there is an attack, these things do happen. So this is an ongoing process. They'll get evidence, they'll get proof, and then that will uncover, in fact, more proof and more arrests. And this as I said, is an ongoing process. And as far as NIA and other teams are concerned, they'll stay in the Kashmir Valley till the time they're completely satisfied that they've gathered everything from the spot of this blast. So that is the other aspect of these investigations. As I said, it's a multi-agency synergized effort. Now it's not just the J&K police, so all of them will try their best to crack this case and ensure that the people who are behind it are completely exposed, and then maybe an operation is launched against them to really get to them before they start thinking about another attack, similar one as we saw in Pulwama yesterday.
Farid, there has been, of course, a fair amount of sort of confusion overnight since our last report last night, the newspapers this morning, well into the first half of the day, about the death toll in this particular case. It was 44 last night. It settled back at 40 this morning. Very, very unfortunate reports actually told us that in some cases, the bodies were just not found because of the extent of the damage, and which is why it took longer to actually release the list of the deceased. Is that true? Was that what the confusion was about? Have you had a chance to speak with the heads of the CRPF in Kashmir?
Yes, absolutely. It was a situation of utter chaos and confusion because the crime spot, or should I say the spot of this attack, was an absolute, should I say, it was body parts everywhere, mangled remains of vehicles, and especially it was absolutely gory scenes that we witnessed there. As we have been saying, in fact, yesterday when I saw those pictures, initially it was like I thought it was some scene from Afghanistan or Syria, war zone. It didn't look like Kashmir because we haven't had such attacks. There were some of them, but they were long way back. But of late, we haven't had this kind of an attack. So it was something that took a while for the CRPF and for the security agencies to compile. But till late last night, they completely failed to come out with a figure because, as I said, these were the difficulties they were facing. And still, let me tell you, this death toll will increase because we've been told that 3 to 4 people are still unaccounted for. They're completely missing. The nature of the blast was such that they would have been blown up in smithereens, literally in small bits. So that's the kind of intensity this blast had on the bus. Let me tell you, when I visited the spot this morning, the vehicle in which these explosives were being carried, and in fact that went off, that is nowhere to be seen. But even the bus of CRPF, which it hit, it is absolutely nowhere. It is smashed. It has been blown into pieces, literally. And what we only could found was the chassis, the few tires and the chassis of that vehicle. So that really explains in itself the intensity and the kind of impact that blast had on that bus. So it is quite obvious that some of the CRPF jawans who bore the complete brunt of that attack, they would have been literally blown up into pieces, and those pieces would have gone literally far away. And that's something that locals also told us, that they saw CRPF and security agencies literally really collecting those body parts from far away from the spot of the attack or the blast. So this is self-explanatory on the kind of impact, and that also really means that or explains why the CRPF was finding it really difficult to come up with numbers. 40 is the number right now. They've given the complete list with photographs, but as I said, still some people are missing. They're unaccounted for, and probably they're still searching for them in and around the blast site. Faye?
Well, Farid, stay with us, because information that was coming in, which I referred to you, was that Jammu and Kashmir police have detained 7 people from the Pulwama district of South Kashmir in connection to the attack. We also understand that the NIA team that's currently in Pulwama investigating this particular attack has been collecting, details or has been collecting articles from the debris that they believe will lead them give them a clearer picture or lead them perhaps to the perpetrators in this particular case. Fareed, again yesterday there was some confusion about whether or not the Scorpio in this case was carrying 100 kgs of explosives, and in one case someone said 300 kgs of explosives. Is there clarity now on what kind of explosives these were, and how much was in that car that was used in the attack?
Well, I had a chance to speak with some people in the police and people who have had vast experience while dealing with such attacks in the past. If you talk of the Kashmir Valley, it has seen many in the last 30 years of insurgency. They told me that more than 100 kgs is not possible. It would be anywhere between 50 to 100 kgs. What exactly it was, that really will be told by the investigation. Once the investigation of the forensics is complete, then only we'll know exact nature of the explosives. But it is quite clear that these were very powerful explosives, could be anywhere from RDX to plastic explosives to TNT. But yes, sophisticated explosives, there's no doubt about it. And this, they also further added that it would take a very strong brain, someone who is a war veteran or someone who has in-depth knowledge of explosives to really go through and really make an ID of this nature. So that is something that the police is quite clear about, that they have someone who's very experienced in making bombs and IEDs in their ranks, and it is only a handiwork of a very experienced person who has complete knowledge of explosives who can make such a deadly IED, such a huge IED. Now it's not a small IED, we're talking of a value of around 50 to 100 kgs. Now if it would have been more than that, it would have literally melted the bus, so the indications would have been different. So that's what the experts tell us, that it was anywhere between 50 to 100 latest explosives. What exactly that was, that we'll know in some time once the forensics complete their investigation. But yes, a deadly blast. And probably the XUV or the Scorpio that was used for this was chosen for the size and for the fact that it could really take, or the kind of size it has inside or space, it could take that much of explosives, and it can easily could conceal it so that it can pass security barriers, or it could be taken to the target site. So all that was very well thought out. It was very well planned. Obviously not a case where it was done overnight. It would have taken days of basically planning, of really getting those explosives, circuits and all the other things that come in configuring an ID. So it's not an amateur's job, it is a job that has been done by professionals, yes, so who have got all the support in the form of explosives. Now the other part is whether those explosives came from the other side of the border or whether they were locally procured, and if they were locally procured, who really gave them, how did they manage to get that? So all these questions need solid answers, and that's why this investigation is really crucial, to really get those answers and then act accordingly.
Fareed, we understand that this was a convoy carrying 2,500 jawans, across that highway, of which the bus that was attacked had 51 jawans on it. Was this bus a target because it had more individuals on the bus than others? Was it any random bus that the terrorists picked out? Do the police have, or do the investigators have an idea of whether or not this particular bus was a target for some reason?
Well, Faye, the whole convoy was the target. It was not that this particular bus was selected. And also, let me add here, it's not that the CRPF was specifically the target. Any forces convoy would have passed at that time would have been the target. Unfortunately for this, for the CRPF, it was their convoy, their cavalcade, which was passing through that time, and that's why it was hit. Now, why a bus was hit? See, it was. It's not just that the only buses are part of the cavalcade. There are trucks, there are bunker vehicles vehicles. Bus was targeted because obviously it had more people inside it. It would have caused more casualties, and exactly that's something that has happened, because a complete bus was shattered, it was smashed, it was blown into pieces. So one can easily understand that there were around 40-45 CRPF jawans in that bus, and all of them have either died or have been very grievously injured. So it is quite clear that he purposefully hit a bus to cause maximum casualties. And also importantly, our sources say that this vehicle was following the convoy for the past 2-3 kilometers. So he hit at a location where there was a steep curve, and the speed of the convoy stopped, in fact became less, and that also helped in ensuring that the impact was big. So all these things were very cleverly taken care of as far as the attacker is concerned. And as I said, he was very well briefed, he was indoctrinated, and he was indoctrinated to the extent that he became a suicide bomber, which is not easy to do. And then the way we found out with the JASH releasing the statement, the local inputs of the police, that he was a local. So that is another big aspect that the security agencies need to focus on, because you don't find many instances in the past where a local has been recruited and then turned into a killing machine, into a fidai by the JASH. So these are multiple things that are very worrisome and are really causing a lot of worry for the security agencies. But yes, to your question, it was a very well planned attack, and he purposefully hit a bus because it had maximum number of people traveling in this, maximum number of CRPF jawans, and the intent was to cause as many casualties as possible, and that could have only happened if he managed to hit a bus, and that's why a bus was hit, not a truck or any bunker vehicle of the CRPF.
Fareed, I can't thank you enough for actually giving us these reports and remaining live with us for this long. I do understand that the security forces want you to move again, but I thank you again for the coverage that you've helped us achieve here at Mirror Now, and we keep coming back to you for updates. Very senior journalist, our Kashmir Bureau Chief Mir Fareed, joining us live here on Mirror Now. I want to take you through again the stories, or take you through some more stories that we've received over the day of people who've lost their lives in this attack. And I want to remind you one more time, as our viewers, because we are in mourning, we bring you no opinion today. There is no debate, there are no opinions, there are no arguments, because this is not a matter of argument as far as we are concerned. This is a day of mourning, and as far as the conversations or the decisions that need to be taken about India's mode of retaliation and what India's response should be, we have an elected government in place. They have plenty of advisors. It is a decision for the government to take. It is not, in my opinion, subject of debate in a news channel or in a news studio. We are not going to have that debate. We are going to leave it to the government of the day to make that decision with their advisors. What we are going to do is we're going to bring you stories of people who've lost their lives, stories of those who survived those people now and will continue to fight. Like Constable Tilak Raj, who hailed from Kangra in Himachal Pradesh. Tilak Raj is survived by 2 children, a wife and parents. He left for service just 2 days before the attack.
सर बच्चों के लिए नौकरी चाहिए और मैसेज के लिए सर माता फादर है उनके लिए भी छोटे बच्चे हैं बच्चों की एक 4 साल का हो एक 22 दिन का है
मैं सर यहाँ नज़दीक से ही हूँ इनके साथ में ही मेरा छोटे भाई का जैसा रिश्ता है और हम साथ में खेले हैं यहाँ हाल ही में अभी 2-3 दिन हुए हैं 2 दिन पहले ही छुट्टी काट के गए हैं यहाँ से और वापस फ़ोन भी आया था कि मैंने ज्वाइन कर लिया है और बड़ा प्रेम था छोटे भाई जैसा प्रेम है हमारे साथ में ही कर रहे हैं यहाँ पर सही जवाब समय तो है सर पर मुझे तो कम उम्मीद लगती है कि हर बार ऐसे आश्वासन दिए जाते हैं कि हम ये कर देंगे वो कर देंगे कुछ नहीं होता सर ये राजनीति है
Constable Ajit Kumar was from Unnao in Uttar Pradesh, had left after spending a week with his family. Mirror Now's Prashant Kumar visited Ajit's home and spoke with his mother.
This lonely home behind me, what you are seeing, is the home of one of the martyrs who were martyred yesterday in the attack that took place in Kashmir. Now, the calm that you see is an uneasy calm that is prevailing here in Unnao. I'm in Unnao at the residence of Ajit Kumar Azad, who was one of the CRPF members who was martyred yesterday. And this is the residence of complete calm here, an uneasy calm that is prevailing, and you can see the family members of Azad are here inside this room. Although it's not the proper time to talk with them, but we get usually immune to the stories of death and destruction, but this time round the entire nation is shocked. तो क्या आपकी बातचीत हुई थी जब वो गए थे, तो उसका क्या बात उन्होंने बताया था?
ऐसे ही सब बात, मम्मी ठीक से रहना, दर्द वो दवा खा लेना, सब यह बात बताओ तेरा, और क्या बताइए, अच्छी तरह से मिलके रहना, सब लोग ठीक ठाक रहे, बहुओं से कहे सब मिलके बहुएं रहना अच्छे से.
Amit was from Shamli district of Uttar Pradesh, the youngest Jawan who was killed in yesterday's attack. Amit, who joined the CRPF in 2017, was just 22 years old. Nasir Ahmed, another CRPF Jawan who died in the attack yesterday, was from Rajouri in Kashmir. Nasir's family is in mourning and in a state of complete grief. The family that stays in a far-flung village called Dodasan, Bala in Rajouri, are coping with their personal loss, but they're also distressed by the fact that soldiers die almost every day in Kashmir.
जो इस वक्त ये हादसा हुआ है, हमारे गांव का ये नसीर अहमद मारा गया है. इसके दोनों भाई थे, एक भाई जो है वो मारा गया है, दूसरा जो है वो अभी इधर है, और इसके बच्चे जो हैं वो जम्मू में हैं. और जो ये हो रहा है ये बिल्कुल गलत हो रहा है.
जैसे एक नसीर अहमद नहीं, साथ में जाने वाले 45 लोगों का हमने सुना है, और हर रोज कश्मीर से कोई ना कोई फौजी, कोई ना कोई खबर यही आती है कि एक ना दो आदमी जो है उसकी डेथ हो ही जाती है.
Pradeep Kumar was also from Shamli in Uttar Pradesh. He survived by his wife and 2 children aged 13 and 15. His brother, who's also a soldier, says he's proud that his brother died when doing his duty to his country.
देखो, इसमें जो है ना एक जवान है वो तो अपनी ड्यूटी करता है, जो है ना देश के ऊपर शहीद हो रहा है. मैं भी एक जवान हूँ, मैं भी उसी का जो है ना भाई हूँ. मेरा छोटा भाई था, मैं भी जो है ना 94 का जो है ना ITV में भर्ती हूँ, और अभी भी जो है ना सर्विस लुधियाना में कर रहा हूँ. तो एक दुखद घटना तो है ही, लेकिन जो है ना देश के ऊपर शहीद हुआ है, इसके लिए जो है ना कोई.
शादी हुई इनकी? हाँ
जी, शादी है, 2 बच्चे हैं, एक 17 साल का है और एक 13 साल.
दोनों बच्चे पढ़ ही रहे हो?
दोनों बच्चे पढ़ रहे हो.
Well, the CRPF that lost the 40 braves in the attack, in the memory of the martyrs, today formations of CRPF observed 2 minutes of silence. The CRPF flag was flying at half-mast today, and the CRPF has tweeted off its official handle saying, "We will not forget and we will not forgive. We salute our martyrs of the Pulwama attack and we stand with the families of our martyred brothers. This heinous attack will be avenged." Mr. J.K. Verma, who is a defence expert, joins me on the phone line. Mr. Verma, good evening and thank you for joining us. The investigation is obviously underway, and like we were being told by our colleague in Kashmir who's tracking that investigation, that now the investigators are looking for those who aided and abetted, people who helped with the assembly of the explosives, people who helped with bringing 100 kgs of explosives, perhaps across the border, or acquiring it and putting it together. In your mind, how difficult is it going to be at this point to flush out these people from wherever it is they're hiding?
In fact, any terrorist attack done by action agents, however, there are always support agents, which we call over-down workers or sleeper cell, whatever we call. But in intelligence parlor, they are the support agents. And no action is possible without support agents. Here, Mr. Adil must be helped by the support agents who have acquired this much of explosives. That may be 60 kg, that may be 100 kg explosives, arranged a car for him, and all these things were done. And this is the primary duty of the security forces to identify these sleeper agents, and they should be taken to task. And this is very important. Otherwise, these support agents are going to again and again help the action agents
Mr. Verma, there's now reports about the fact that the intelligence reports were perhaps ignored. Intelligence had already warned the various arms of or the various agencies that IED was being assembled, that they did have a tip-off that IED was perhaps going to be used for an attack. Is that enough evidence to suggest that intelligence reports had been ignored?
I won't say that the intelligence reports were ignored. However, I can say yes, there were intelligence reports that Jaish-e-Mohammed or other terrorist organizations are trying to carry out some big terrorist activity in the area. And the forces were alert for that. However, the terrorists were able to carry out this unfortunate incident.
And Mr. Verma, there's obviously, as we've noticed, a certain amount of unrest in Jammu today, and there will be some nervousness across the valley for some time to come. What do you think should be top of mind as far as the security agencies operating in Kashmir are concerned right now?
Security agencies should try that peace must be restored in the valley as well as all of India. And this will be one action. Second, sleeper agents should be identified and punished and should be booked. That is another action. At this time, we must retaliate with force. Our forces can certainly enter in POK, or there can be some aerial attack on the terrorist camps in POK. However, we should take little more time because terrorist camps move from one place to other very fast. That's why if you have to make an aerial attack, then you must have the pinpointed position of the terrorist camps. However, some action has to be taken, although I am aware that MFN status has been taken back and India is also meeting with several diplomats and high commissions of other missions, but it is not enough. The public wants that some retaliation, strong retaliation must be taken.
Thank you, Mr. Verma, and I appreciate you giving us your time this evening. Mr. J.K. Verma is a defense expert who has served with the Indian Armed Forces. Moving on, China has condemned the attack in Kashmir, but when asked on its stand against Jaish-e-Mohammed chief Masood Azhar, it has said that they will follow protocol as far as the United Nations Security Council terrorist sanction list is concerned. Now remember, China is a veto member of the UN Security Council and has consistently blocked India's attempts to designate Azhar as a global terrorist. Here is a report that explains exactly why Masood Azhar is one of India's biggest enemies and how we came fairly close at one point to making sure he didn't hurt us again.
Hijacked Indian Airlines flight IC-184, parked at a desolate airfield in Afghanistan's Kandahar. A day after being hijacked on Christmas Eve, en route from Kathmandu to Delhi. 20 years later, the impact of the hostage exchange program negotiated by authorities to secure the release of 150 passengers continues to haunt and torment India.
As a result of the negotiations with the Taliban and the hijackers, there has been an agreement for the release of all the hostages in exchange for 3 militants.
What is
3?
For it was this man, a bespectacled and diminutive religious preacher, Maulana Masood Azhar, released from Jammu's Kot Bhalwal jail in exchange for the release of passengers who founded the terror outfit Jaish-e-Mohammed, or the Army of God, on his return to Pakistan. And he has masterminded some of India's worst terror attacks since, including Thursday's deadly attack on a CRPF convoy in Pulwama.
कश्मीर में हमारे सीआरपीएफ के बहादुर जवानों पर जो आतंकवादी हमला हुआ है वो पाकिस्तान स्थित और उनके द्वारा संरक्षित आतंकवादी संगठन जैशे मोहम्मद ने किया है.
As the Home Minister named Jaish as the group that killed over 40 CRPF men, he was merely stating the latest in a string of unprecedented attacks on India and the subsequent blame. 2 years after his release, Masood Azhar's JEM had masterminded the audacious attack on the parliament. Ironically, it was a CRPF sub-inspector whose heroic act of gunning down 3 of the 5 terrorists who stormed parliament saved India's temple of democracy. Seven years later, Masood Azhar and Jaish would strike again. This time masterminding the devastating Mumbai attacks, India's worst ever, with over 175 dead and 300 injured. An attack that lasted over 60 hours and targeted Mumbai's most iconic landmarks.
हमारे सुरक्षा बलों को पूर्ण स्वतंत्रता दे दी गई है.
As the Indian government promises decisive, coercive and diplomatic efforts to get Jaish and Masood Azhar yet again, the man who was once in our jails continues to roam free in Pakistan. Bureau Report, Mirror Now.
But as an immediate response to the attack, India has withdrawn the most favoured nation status to Pakistan. India granted the most favoured nation status to Pakistan way back in 1996. The MNF status to the nation gives it preference of a country in trade agreements. Listen to the Finance Minister.
The Ministry of External Affairs will initiate all possible steps, and I'm here referring to all possible diplomatic steps which have to be taken to ensure the complete isolation from the international community of Pakistan, of which incontrovertible evidence is available of having a direct hand in this gruesome terrorist incident. The most favoured nation status which had been granted to Pakistan stands withdrawn. The Ministry of Commerce will issue the necessary communications in this regard. The Ministry of External Affairs will also engage with the international community to make sure that the comprehensive convention on international terrorism, which has been pending for over 3 decades before the United Nations, particularly because of the definition of the word terrorism, is now adopted.
As the country mourns the deaths of the 40 CRPF jawans who lost their lives in that attack, we stand with the families who still struggle to comprehend the void that has now been created in their lives. Citizens across the country carrying out silent candlelight marches in honor of the martyrdom of the brave CRPF jawans.